Alrighty, hello. Welcome back to this channel. This is something I have always wanted to do, but I haven't done it yet. But I do want to be on here and review books. I guess I've always wanted to have a place where I can discuss and interact with people when it comes to books and books themselves. I spent a lot of my high school career arguing with my friends, arguing with teachers, arguing with a bunch of people about the books I was reading. And I want to continue doing that, but I don't really have a place and a time, I guess, to do that right now. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna open it up this way. And I'm gonna have fun with it, whether or not anything comes from it, because I just like talking about books, and now I get to talk about, and now I'm going to talk about books. So the very first book we are looking at is going to be Colleen Hoover's Regretting You. Now, I'm not coming into this unbiased. I don't know why I enjoy it so much, but it's how I get my book recommendations. Is I watch people talk crap about books. And Hoover is usually hit pretty hard. There's been a lot of complaints about her main male characters being toxic, like borderline abusive, and I've seen that in two that I've read. But also that her main female main character really just, it's almost like if you've ever been on like the online writing space, like Y/N. It's supposed to be your name, so you are inserting the story. It's just a really basis of a character that really doesn't have anything to them. But so I know about Hoover. I know about her other characters. I know what people have said about her characters, and even about this book. So we are just gonna jump into it and see if we're gonna jump into it. Okay, so here's a spoiler-free review in case you don't want anything said about the book. I tried to do the whole thing where I script things out and like I go through and I analyze every chapter, but I did that. I have that all written down. But when I tried to put it into like a video format, I sound very scripted and I didn't like it. So we are going to do something else. I'm going to provide two sections of a review. One is this, and then another one that's coming that is just a little bit more in depth, but not too much. So this is completely spoiler free. You know nothing about it. It's a 2.5 stars. It was bleh. It wasn't super special. It wasn't the worst that I've seen from anyone or even Hoover. Definitely less troublesome than some of her other works. The biggest one to highlight is November 9. I did not like that one. It bothered me, but this one ain't bad. So if that's all you want to go ahead and exit out, because the rest of it is going to be a little bit of spoilers. So why did I choose this one? So once I became an adult and, with college, jobs, all of that, I kind of fell out of reading. And after I had my two kids, I started getting more into a flow of myself. I'm like, oh, well, I want to get back into reading because that was my life when I was younger. The problem is, I don't know where to start, where to go to. I know I tried to jump into some fantasy books right away, and then it just didn't flow with me. So, there were two authors or two books that were really recommended to me, and one was Colleen Hoover, and the other one was Sarah J. Maas, ACOTAR. We're not going to talk about ACOTAR, but I did jump into Colleen Hoover just to kind of. I do feel like this one really stood out to me because I love the cover. The cover I think is gorgeous. It's not like a pink, but it's a pink. The ripped up paper, especially after you figure out why. I think it works really well. And I don't know what happened or why. I never used to be the biggest fan of pink, but as soon as I had my daughter, I don't know, pink just grew on me, and now it's up there, one of the favorites. I don't know what happened. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just because of, I don't even know. Just pink is up there, and I love pink, and that's what it is. And then also, when you look at the back of the book, it made it seem like it was less of a romance and more focused on that mother and daughter relationship healing after a tragedy. Because like one of the lines is, can this mother and daughter survive after the glue that held them together is gone? Instead of, you'll see what I mean. You'll see what I mean later. Okay. I was wrong, though. It wasn't super focused on the mother-daughter relationship, and I'll explain as we get deeper into this. Again, I was recommended Hoover by a lot of people in my life. And as I've said before, a lot of people also like to crap talk her. So let's see. There are like some things that you do need to know before we get into the review. So some of those good and bad things that I'm going to bring up, you understand. Though it's not going to be a lot. So number one, Chris and Morgan are high school sweethearts. Or it made it seem like they were, but later on it kind of seems like they only married because she got pregnant when she was 17, before they even got to high school. Then you also have Jenny, which is Morgan's sister, and Jonah, who is Chris's bestie. They were together at the same time, but Jonah skipped town when he figured out Morgan was pregnant. He came back into town 17 years later for his father's funeral, where Jenny went to, quote unquote, comfort him, and ended up having a baby, and now they're set to get married because of it. She already had the baby, but they're fiancés. Chris and Morgan's daughter, Clara, is 17 at the time the book takes place. She really likes Miller, which is a random boy, but he doesn't pay attention to her until she actually talks to him. And then Chris and Jenny were in a car accident that kills them, leaving Jonah with a baby and Morgan a widow, and Claire without the person she trusted most, which was Jenny, her aunt. It's also found out that they died together because they were cheating the night before and left in the same car. So we're going to jump into the actual review. There's so much I could say about this book, but we're going to get going, okay? I'm also a teacher, so we've it's been they call it the sandwich. When you do have to call home with a parent or talk to anyone, it's better to do it because, there's no kid who is all bad. There's always something positive, something good that they've done or good that they're doing. And you just want to find a way to make a discipline call home a little easier on everybody. Because no parent wants to go home saying, your kid is terrible. And then that's all they ever hear from the teacher. So we try to make sure that we're not only just talking about the negatives, but we're also talking about the positives. So that's what I'm going to do with this review. A good thing is that Hoover has a very basic writing style, which means it's very easy and digestible to read. You don't have to think too much about what's happening. So if you were like me and you got out of reading and you needed something to kind of edge you back into it, Hoover's a good choice. Now, some of the character choices she makes might bother you, but her writing style is easy. A bad thing is as mentioned before, there's nothing to her characters. Morgan, she's a mom, and that's it. We literally know nothing else about her. And I do know there's some people out there where mom is their whole identity, but there's always something more. Like, is she one of those moms that really like the telenovas or the soap operas? Or is she one of those moms who, like, we know nothing about her interests, about her likes, about anything that makes her Morgan? Even when she was in high school, we just knew she liked to party. And we didn't even know she liked it. We just knew the biggest thing that we found about Megan and Jenny was that the mother was kind of, not only the parents were kind of neglectful. They let them do whatever they wanted. Chris, we know he's an extrovert and he's a doctor. Jenny, she's a nurse and a cheater, but that's about it. Jonah's a teacher, but we just don't get to see a lot of the in-depth of these characters. So it makes it a little hard to really latch on and care about them. We do learn that Claire wants to act and that her mom's not super supportive, but we don't get to see it. We get told it. Another thing about Clara is we're told often by Miller that she's this like super bold person, and that's why Miller paid attention to her. And sure, there is one time in a classroom where she throws a phone because she thought Jonah was cheating on her aunt with her mom. But that's all we saw of her quote unquote boldness. We did not get to see that. I feel like it might have been better if I think it would have been fun if we would have saw that boldness as an introduction to Clara, instead of her struggling to clean her car so she can let Miller in. Another good thing though is there is an intimate scene between Clara and Miller. We do get to see how great Miller is as a person and as a character, but the scene itself doesn't it doesn't focus on the physicality of the ordeal, but rather on the emotional side. Because in that scene, Claire is doing it to get back at her mother, because her mother's biggest fear is that Claire would make the same mistake she did and get pregnant at an early age. So any dreams that she had kind of went out the window for the child. So you have her doing this to get back at her mom. And in the middle of this, you're like, sure, it kind of feels good, but at the same time, she's regretting it while it's still going on. She's having these thoughts, these feelings. It doesn't feel like it's supposed to. When she knew she thought it was supposed to be this big thing. And I do like that there was a scene after where Miller was like, well, you were using me. Like, you literally used me to get back at your mother to do this. And I guess I'll for that I'd also would have loved like a little breakup where Clara had to grow a little bit more to get back with him instead of him just being, yeah, you're good. This is one of those books where most things could have been solved if the characters actually spoke to each other. I understand we want to preserve the memory of Chris for her daughter, but if she actually tried to understand Claire, a lot of it would have been cleared up even without admitting that about the cheating. Like all Morgan does when Claire misbehaves is ground her. That's it. Here's a punishment. There's no attempt to sit down with her and try to understand her grief, her pain, the why behind all of it. I feel like that could have, again, I wanted to see a book about a mother and daughter coming together, and I don't think this was it. We get one scene where they actually come together, and instead it's focused on the romance. So, but a good piece of it is that, like I said before, Miller's one of Hoover's actually good main characters. He's the best I've read about. He has his own interests. He's incredibly good to Claire, even when she doesn't deserve it. I do think other authors do need to take a step back and look at this love interest instead of creating ones that are. I've seen a lot of, as of late, male main characters that are just mean, and we're supposed to like that. Something to note is throughout the book, it sounds an awful lot like she's trying to justify cheating, even though it's portrayed as this big betrayal in the beginning. But like there's parts where Claire is like justifying herself I'm having Miller cheat on his then girlfriend with her, and she'd be fine with it. Or there's a scene where Jonah's saying if I would have stayed, we would have been the ones that cheated. And it's not like Morgan was like, well, no, we wouldn't have. I wouldn't have. My morals would have said no. Instead, it's like she agrees with it. And I don't know, I guess cheating is a big thing to me. And you can't have it be the big bad in the beginning and then slowly kind of say it's okay when you get down to it. It's like saying love is love. So yes, if you want to cheat on someone, do it, instead of having an actual conversation with your partner and saying, look, I'm just not here for it anymore. One more. So like I've said before, the back made it seem like it was a mother-daughter relationship. The book was 3/4 romance. There's only a tiny, tiny sliver of actually focusing on mother-daughter romance. Gross. The mother and daughter relationship. And I just really wish it focused on that more. And Like, so I would have advertised a lot differently, like finding love after loss. But these characters only waited weeks, like a few weeks before they got together um, like Morgan was with Chris for 17 years. And 3 weeks later, she's like with his best friend. And Jonah, Chris was his bestie, and he moves in on his girl. Even if they did cheat, even if they cheated, I would have felt iffy about it. So this rating is based on if I would read it again. Like, so 10 out of 10 would mean I already read it more than once. That's reserved for the big ones, like Percy Jackson, which is, I love it, but it's also nostalgia mixed in with that. Same with Night World, same with Hunger Games. I don't know if any book that I read today is going to meet you up to that. 9 out of 10, I've probably read it at least once. Read it again at least once. Will I read it again? 7 out of 10, probably. 6 out of 10, sure. 5 out of 10, maybe. If I'm bored. 4 out of 10, I mean, if my mom asked me to, said, hey, I want to read this book with you, sure. 3 out of 10, probably not unless someone actually gives me a reason. 2 out of 10, nah. 1 out of 10, you can pay me to read it again. So this rating is not how good the book is per se, but it's just my opinion and how much I enjoyed it and could see myself enjoying it again. So my rating is 4 out of 10. It's not a terrible read. I just wouldn't want to read it again because it's not exciting. So my mom was like, hey, you want to read this with me? I'm like, sure, we can dive into it. But beyond that, I probably wouldn't be messing with it. To be completely real with you. It was a fine one. I didn't see anything too wrong with it. Some iffy parts in there for sure. If you don't agree with my rating, that is super cool. Let's talk about it. I would love to have a conversation. Comment, DM me. Whatever. Yeah, I would love to have a conversation about books. It's kind of my dream. But yeah. If you want anything more like this, I do have a list of books I'm going to be going through. If you have any recommendations, especially if they're indie authors, because I do want to support them, please do so. Also, subscribe if you like it. Thank you if you made it this far. Until next time, we will see each other again. Peace.